Attention, everyone.
Please proceed with extreme caution.
Day 1, High Tide.
Before we begin, we will get a general overview of the surrounding area. I am Kepstrel David, a computer-synthesized voice. I am far superior to Hal. This beach is a private beach just north of Ellsville State Park in Cedarville, or Plymouth. As you can see, here is a narrow path leading up to the beach. The beach ends at a rock wall to our left here, or facing north, and continues on further up. To the south, there is a long windy stretch before it reaches Ellisville State Park. To get an idea of how long this stretch of beach is, before it turns into an inlet further south, it is approximately a half a mile long. Now to get into more interesting stuff.
Now, what I am about to show you next may shock and educate you.
My transect is broken up into 3 separate sections. Section 1 is cordgrass that is to the left side of the walking path. Section 2 is sargassum seaweed at low tide in the intertidal zone, and Section 3 is periwinkle snails at low tide in the intertidal zone.
I thought those only existed in the movies.
Okay, whatever. As I was saying, there are 3 different sections to talk about. Each section was observed on 3 different days. Day 1 was October 8th, Day 2 was October 15th, and Day 3 was October 29th. Using the transect data I collected, I will now briefly describe my findings on October 8th. It is 1:45 p.m., the air temperature is 66 degrees, and the water temperature is 55 degrees. There is a slight wind from the west at 6 miles per hour.
That's amazing!
Please do not interrupt anymore. Thank you. Using a percentage coverage per area for the cordgrass, there is approximately 95% coverage of cordgrass over a 4 meter by 2 meter area. The cordgrass itself on this day has very green leaves. The stalks are greenish towards top, tan to tannish brown from their middle section down towards the bottom. There is no evidence of birds, crabs, or other life in the cordgrass transect area, except for flies and mosquitoes. Other common seashore plants surrounding the cordgrass area are marsh hay, seaside goldenrod, and Rosa rugosa. As mentioned previously, the other 2 items that were studied were sargassum seaweed and periwinkle snails. On this day, there is practically no evidence of sargassum seaweed floating in the transect area studied. There are also no periwinkle snails in this area either. Direct observation was used and I did not go into the fridge. Please take a brief intermission.
Day 2, Low Tide.
We will now briefly discuss this day's observations on cordgrass, sargassum seaweed, and periwinkle snail.
Go forth and spread the word!
Today's findings are more interesting and eventful, due to the fact that it is low tide. It is now 1:30 p.m., the air temperature is 57 degrees, and the water temperature is 56 degrees. There is a bit of a wind coming from the southwest at 14 miles per hour, with gusts up to 20 miles per hour.
We need some excitement around here.
Yes, we will be getting to that. The cordgrass percentage coverage is still at 95%. Their leaves are still somewhat green, and yada yada yada. The marsh hay is semi-healthy, with green and brown stems.
Visual aids help so much. Thank you.
The sargassum seaweed is very plentiful and easily observed on this day. The coverage percentage observed on this day is at 85%. As seen here, some areas are closer to 100% coverage.
You came from the outside, you bring disorder here.
The periwinkle snails were also very abundant on this day. The coverage percentage area for them was 85%. Some nearby areas had even larger percentages of snails per section, or every 4 meters by 2 meters. Oh my! A rare and beautiful species of butterfly.
That's too funny. I can't remember when I've heard a funnier anecdote. Okay, now you tell one.
Moving along, there were other noticeable species in the sargassum seaweed and periwinkle snail transect areas, such as clams, mussels, and other types of plants. Another thing I did was to see what the beach further south looked like on this day. It is interesting to see how there are very small and less numbers of rocks, more algae blooms such as this green algae here, and more varieties of plants in open marshland areas.
Day 3, low tide.
Today's findings are again interesting and eventful, due to the fact that it is low tide. It is now 2:30 p.m., the air temperature is 51 degrees, and the water temperature is 53 degrees. There is a strong wind coming from the west-southwest at 25 miles per hour, with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. There was quite a storm yesterday, and so the wind is still winding down.
That water, we're doomed.
That's nice. The cordgrass on this day has some green leaves left. The stalks in general are turning a uniform tan to tannish brown. The coverage percentage for cordgrass is around 90%. The marsh hay nearby has mostly turned light tan in color.
The dolphins are upon us.
Trying to urinate.
With that awkward segue behind us, the sargassum seaweed is still relatively plentiful. Coverage is at 75%. The periwinkle snails are also still relatively plentiful, with coverage at 50%.
I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt.
Thus concludes my Transect presentation on 3 separate days with 3 different Transect areas monitored. Thank you and I hope you enjoy.
Stand in the place where you live, now face north. Think about direction, wonder why you haven't now. Stand in the place where you were, now face west. Think about the place where you live, wonder why you haven't.
All right, let's get started on lunch.
Are you insane?
Don't tell me how to feel.
Now, let's be reasonable. We can resolve our differences peacefully.
Take us to your leader. Hello, baby.
This whole sordid affair has been a shock to all of us, but we must get on with our lives.
Not fair.
Show's over, folks.
I'm out of here.